Herr Weber?
Frau Russo, guten Morgen.
Sorry to keep you waiting. Wouldn't start without you.
Das ist für Ihre Soldaten.
Ach, danke, das ist sehr nett von Ihnen.
Kein Problem. Einen schönen Tag noch.
Hey Jungs, schaut, was wir haben. Was ist das?
Forward to the church! Watch for enemy fire! Cover! Get the radio! I'll cover you! Go!
Sergeant Summers, F Company, send in the planes, now!
Royals plane, Summers!
I'm sorry, keep it waiting, boys. Round was away.
Hello there, my name is Placeholder and welcome back to Company Heroes 3. Just watching that little intro cinematic that they probably should have had on there from day one on the game. It was nice to have it as a trailer, but just kind of reminds me that they really should have had more cohesive work between British and American forces in the game. They kind of lead up to it in the last mission, but it could have been nicer to see it more play out a little bit more differently. Anyway, we're here because we got the Steel Shepherd update and also the Hammer and Shield expansion pack, which adds in some new battle groups. And also, I believe they've also done a bit of overhaul with the actual campaign map and made that a little bit more useful. So we're going to see how that goes today. Okay, so for now, it's nice that we have armor, but we only have the one type of armor, which is kind of not that great. I mean, it's fine. I can work with Valentine's. However, we're trying to work on the fact that the only actual cooldown we have to worry about right now is the fact that I'm waiting on the coastal bombardment, so I can actually showcase that for now.
Pay attention, lazy buggers. Armor's ready to go. Infantry, support tank. Hey, we got a move check.
Any second now. Fucking perfect. Alright. I do appreciate that the bombardment doesn't take very much time and also is very effective. Just not... Wish it wouldn't be as expensive in the game.
Well fought. Salerno's secure, but there's more work to do to establish ourselves in the surrounding area. Make sure the beaches are ready for remaining troops to land, and set up defensive positions on the outskirts of the town.
Yes, sir. I'll grab the men.
So did that change anything? I know I didn't do the bombardment firsthand. I just went the invasion, but did that overall change the course of anything so far?
Buckram, try not to hit my men with your shells.
I feel like they may have changed how the bombardment works. Okay. Did it clear everything? It did.
We've established a beachhead at Salerno. The port will give us access to valuable supplies.
So... What now? Okay, I do like that they've added different details on here. That's helpful, I guess, but it just doesn't really bode well with what I'm going to be working with later on.
You're too kind.
Overall, I mean, it's pretty straightforward on the different abilities in the battle group. I mean, not crazy by any means. I mean, obviously it's more of a support-based company. Is there anything else I need to do right now? Doesn't really seem like it. So we're gonna leave the campaign here, just because maybe we'll play more of it later on. But I mean, so far as of right now, doesn't seem like much has changed except for adding a new battle group. Convert to Ranger Squad is interesting. Still costs manpower though. The Frontline Medical Station does seem tactically useful, except for it's just more or less just how like the British operates in the company eras too. The designated assault position, I didn't find it to be super useful. It does give a good buff for your infantry. However, it just doesn't seem like it's that overall effective, or it's not that useful, at least in this 1v1 situation. Infantry assault, I like the sound of that, except for the fact that it's very temporary and they don't follow any orders. So as soon as they land into a particular spot, they just kind of come in, shoot, and leave. And we got Ranger weapon training. Nice. I mean, it does have some extra debuffs for when they're using their weapons and also increase accuracy. And we got observers, which I do like the fact that it adds an extra person to scouts, because honestly, 3-man scout teams aren't that effective as they are now. Ammunition storage, it seems interesting. I mean, I do like the fact that it just kind of helps bolster munitions, but I mean, overall, it's just kind of another thing to just place on the map. The M2A1 howitzers, they're okay. I mean, they're just basically an infantry. And then the free fire drills and the other stuff does add to it. The free fire drills I thought was going to be a lot better. Didn't play out as well as I thought. I thought it would be a little bit more easy to use. But overall, it's still very decent. Alright, Designate Defensive Line is pretty interesting. I like the fact that it does give a bit of a more defensive boost to enemy areas in the area. Port bunkers are kind of nice. Mostly just because of the fact that we got different styles and different types that we can use now, as opposed to just one. Designated Artillery Overwatch, pretty fun. Hadn't quite used it yet, but I mean, it sounds pretty straightforward. Just basically put a bunker down and it can help dictate artillery, which is very nice. So does the officer in the game. Rapid Fortification. Love the fact that it's pretty fast and also instantaneous, but it still costs manpower. Reserves. Those are kind of neat. I haven't really used it that much, but it does come into play pretty well of just helping to bolster your forces. Bulwark. Nice. It's kind of cracked that it just, as long as you're out of combat, you can just heal your stuff. Or just repair it, rather. And then we got the new artillery emplacement. Very expensive. Pretty effective. Just about the same as the howitzer. Coastal wall. I do like the fact that it reduces the upgrades cost. Artillery officer kind of operates how most officers operate and also how the bunker operates. Coastal reserves, a nice free deployable unit, because who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want that?
Ready for deployment, sir.
Alright, so let's see convert to Ranger. How does that work? Okay, so pretty instantaneous. It does cost money. Sorry, no, manpower, rather. But I do appreciate the fact that it's instantaneous as opposed to just like taking a minute or doing something completely different. Then we got the infantry buff. Fairly decent. I mean, I wished it would have done something more or less where it actually moves infantry to it. And overall, the actual buff that I've seen, it does have a way so that your infantry are harder to hit, but it doesn't really help your infantry's overall accuracy, which is what I would rather have preferred if they had better accuracy as opposed to toughness and being harder to hit. Also, would be kind of nice to just, I don't know, have it be potentially longer on the field. Doesn't seem to last super long. Especially since I had to move my units to it. Now, the artillery emplacement, it's expensive as normal, as you'd expect. But, I mean, and it does have a decent amount of fire. I just would have wished that the free fire drills would have been a little more effective. And also, I did kind of stupidly expect that it was going to be more of like an anti-tank emplacement. That was completely wrong, as you can see in this. Because it got shredded immediately, and also just not that great defensively. Unless you're actually pushing forward properly. But then here you can do see the free fire, that it automatically will find a target if it at least is within sight. Except for it's just, you know, it still does take a delay just like most artillery emplacements.
to go, boys! Orders just came down.
Rifleman ready! Heads up, we roll them out!
Get on it, fellas.
Bring her to a stop! Orders are orders! Relay orders!
Jump to it, boys. Get moving.
Artillery cool down complete. Don't get distracted.
Boys, wait. We're eating good over here. Yeah, we're taking it from them. Engineers here. Jerry's napping. Let's lift break in a second.
Retake the field. Assault operations underway.
Crowd's got us pegged. So much for peace and global backpack,
We've got our mission. Hellcat has been completed.
I'd honestly almost completely forgotten about these guys, but I used them last minute. I definitely hated the fact that they got almost instantly neutralized by a machine gun emplacement, but that's probably on my fault. I probably should have actually used them a little bit better, but at least I got to see them in action. They did a pretty decent job, except for the fact that they just don't really move after they've been placed there.
The enemy is moving on our strategic point. The sector's been overrun. It's theirs now.
And the last thing I'll say is that at least the artillery was useful as, you know, as long-range artillery, because it did destroy that Sturmgeschütz that was coming out, not Sturmgeschütz, but the enemy vehicle that was coming out of its base area.
We have infantry standing by, Commander.
Okay, so let's see. This bunker does cost munitions, or rather manpower, but I do sincerely appreciate the fact that I don't have to do anything for it. Just pops up right there. Also, the Kanban bunker, I do like the different buffs that it gives you. And also the anti-tank one. I mean, who doesn't want an anti-tank bunker? That's just useful in many defensive scenarios. Alright, let's see what this officer got. He's got some pretty good buffs. I do like the Observer Overwatch. It's very similar to how the bunker would work. I didn't use that bunker in this gameplay, but I would assume it operates about the same way, where you just basically pick an area. I also like the fact that it can increase building speed, as well as also just general morale boost for infantry around it. One thing I would say, though, that I don't particularly like is the fact that it is a very short range for the artillery overwatch. But I mean, I get it. You don't necessarily need to have him there the whole time. You just need him to be able to call in artillery if you happen to have a small choke point region that you might want to block off. These guys were definitely still expensive. They were a lot bigger and a lot more impressive than the American howitzers. They also just packed a it looked like a significantly heavier punch than I was expecting. Also, I mean, I figured that the howitzer was going to do that for the Americans, but probably because I just wasn't using the howitzer to its full capabilities. As opposed to these guys I was able to use a little more like late term in the game. Alright, but yeah, so overall, that was Steel Shepherd. Pretty neat update. I don't know quite everything they've done for the campaign. I do want to try to play the campaign more, especially if you guys like this video. I'm definitely intrigued to try to do it. It would just mean I would just need to play it again, because I do need to actually get a few more achievements, like specifically getting Buckram, like full loyalty with Buckram, which I thought I would have done the last time when I was speedrunning it, but I guess it just wasn't enough of a speedrun for him. And then the two army groups, I do like them, or battle groups rather. They're more of a defensive capability than, or more of a support and defense than necessarily like what you would expect. Kind of like how the British are, or at least the British artillery. They're not really designed for 1v1s unless you kind of know how to play the game a little bit more. But if you have a team, you're a little bit more willing to play together and actually support one another. Definitely works out well. I do like that they've added that. For now, as always, my name is Placeholder, signing off.